right, first here's the disclaimer. Anything I say when it has to do with politics and my military service is my opinions alone and not those of the Department of Defense. I know maybe they should be. Second of all, thanks to everyone who put this together today. That really speaks a lot of folks that when they come out and put out this much time and effort to put on an event like this, it really shows how much they care about their communities and their countries. And my hat's off to you, gentlemen. All right, yesterday, American citizens celebrated their true heritage. Independence from an overbearing government that assumed ownership without responsibility. Our answer was the Declaration of Independence, the U.S. Constitution, and its Bill of Rights. These documents made it clear that we the people, instead of we the crown, are responsible for and therefore owners of our lives, thoughts, and destinies. In so many ways, the present-day United States government exhibits, by its actions, its belief that it is the owner, and we are somehow responsible to carry out its edicts. Lately, it seems that our government thinks it is the owner of the entire world. I happen to disagree. Now, I've shared the stage with a few of these gentlemen up here before, and I have to tell you, some of them are pretty hard acts to follow. One of my favorite quotes concerning grassroots activism is, "Speak the truth, even though your voice may shake." Well, my voice and my notes may shake. I'm not used to doing this in front of so many people, but let me tell you what the truth is. The truth is we need to stay out of Iraq, we need to stay out of Syria, and we need to get out of Afghanistan. Now, I've been there. Their culture, their history, it's magnificent, but it's not ours. Our style of government, our cultural norms, they don't work there. Freedom demands responsibility. Some of us here are willing to work to maintain and revere our freedom, but more and more it seems our government are trying to clamp down on our efforts. Yesterday marked the anniversary of the day we said no more and demonstrated our willingness to risk our lives, our livelihoods, and the lives of our families to get out from under the yoke of a government that did not allow us a say in our own governance. We cannot make that decision for anyone else, however. We must not spend another American life or another American dollar in a war we do not belong. Now, you've heard the reasons why. First off, it's, they say it's so painful to see them, relapse. We spend so much time and effort over there that, our efforts are in vain. But guess what? It's not in vain for not getting involved. It was in vain to go there in the first place. I like what's known as the gambler's fallacy here. That when faced with overwhelming odds and you know you're going to lose, you just spend more and more money. That's what our politicians are doing. They feel too attached to the money they have already committed. Continuing to throw good money and good lives after this problem in Iraq is not the right answer. Now here's another soundbite from our leadership. How instability in the region can cause higher gas prices. You gotta be kidding me. This argument simply disgusts me. Asking this question: at what price is one American son or one American daughter worth a nickel at your gas station? They seem more than willing to do this when it's just the abstract armed services doing. No one seems to think that these are our American sons and daughters on the line. These politicians disgust me. The worst is someone who takes this position have been holding office for a really long time. Here's another reason opened up, and it's usually accompanied with derision and condensation. We just don't understand the situation there, or how much we are at risk if we don't do this. But they never elaborate, they're just talking their talking points. I'll tell you the situation. Our military is the strongest force on the face of this planet. We are more than able to defend ourselves against any and all comers. What we can't defend against is the fear-mongering by our own leaders. Concerning spending more and more on this war on terror, when we are far more likely to be killed in a SWAT raid for drugs at the wrong house than we are to be killed by a terrorist, you got to tell me if it makes more sense not to spend an additional dollar on either. And about making sense. It's not really about making sense, is it? It's about who profits from when we go to war. It's not you and me. It's the companies making these weapons of war, who in turn take a little bit of their profits, put them back in the pockets of the politicians. The politicians in turn give them their pork barrel projects. I know how the game is played, and it's just a fact of our modern political system. It doesn't surprise me that a large defense contractor in my congressman's district is his biggest contributor. And it doesn't surprise me that they are the recipient of his biggest pork barrel project in 2 years. It's a travesty our leadership has devolved into representing political parties and their own interests over that of their constituents. We don't need more laws keeping us honest. We need more honest politicians making the laws. Now finally, these conflicts bear costs that we're only beginning to unravel back here at home. Consider an ever-expanding waiting list for medical care for our veterans. We as a nation owe it to any veteran we ask to put a life on the line for a cause, even if we disagree with that cause. Especially if we disagree with that cause. We owe it to any veteran to provide service-related health care, if for no other reason than that veteran may not have been going along with that cause either. And now we're finding the current VA system can't handle and care for so many disabled veterans. It's because we're generating so many disabled veterans. To quote Vermont Senator Sanders, if we are not prepared to take care of those men and women who went to war, then we shouldn't send them to war in the first place. Taking care of our veterans is the cost of war, period. Now today is the 17th anniversary of my marriage, my beautiful wife and mother of 4 kids. All but 2 of those years have seen major conflicts. And I'm not talking about marital conflicts. I'm talking about conflicts the United States has not belonged in. My oldest child turns 10 years old in a couple of months, and not a single one of her birthdays has been celebrated without a major conflict going on. Worried that maybe Dad has to be deployed again to some far-off country for no real reason for her defense or safety. None of these conflicts were about defending ourselves. Instead, they were about us sticking our nose where it didn't belong. In the last 20 years, our military has shifted away from major combat operations, those that would threaten our existence, really the only reason we need a military like this in the first place. Instead, we focus far too much on counterinsurgency and peacekeeping operations, the outcomes of which do not threaten our existence. We claim to have an expeditionary military service, but I can tell you, when expeditions become more the norm, and training and shore duty become far and far more frequent, we don't have an expeditionary military anymore. We have an occupying military. And I say it's time we stop evolving into the empire that we rebelled from 238 years ago yesterday. Let me add this. For each and every one of us, it's time to make a difference by fighting back for their voices, our votes, and our hearts. I'm going to turn this back over to our rally organizers here. God bless us all.